lawyer and managing partner of Gomez Trial Attorneys. I spent my career fighting for people who have been wronged by powerful institutions, corporations, government agencies, and those who abuse the trust placed in them. Today, I am proud to stand with Natasha Bartley, a dedicated educator, a courageous principal, and a woman who did exactly what we tell our children to do. She told the truth. We also have with us attorneys Chandler Roth and Talia Phillips from my office, and supporters of Miss Bartley, both from Dehesa here and from throughout the county. Today we announced the filing of a lawsuit in San Diego Superior Court against the Dehesa School District for whistleblower retaliation in violation of California Labor Code Section 1102.5. The facts of this case are deeply troubling, not just as a legal matter, but as a human one. When Natasha Bartley became principal of Dehesa School in August 2024, she walked into an environment riddled with violations of California law. No safety plans, no CPR certified coaches on the athletic fields, students going unaccounted for on school buses, medications administered to children without documentation, a school with no English language development instruction, and attendance records that a state audit later confirmed were fabricated, potentially costing taxpayers nearly $1 million. She did not look the other way. She did not protect her job by staying silent. She reported every one of those violations to her supervisors, to the San Diego County Office of Education, and ultimately to a third-party investigator. And so what happened to her as a result? She was belittled, undermined, isolated. Her authority was stripped away. Her staff was directed to ignore her. And on June 9th, 2025, just 5 days after she was told, quote, "Keep planning, we plan to have you here," she was placed on administrative leave. The very next day, the board voted to fire her. Let me be very clear about what this case is about. Natasha Bartley chose students over self-preservation. Our children deserve that. She chose the law over loyalty to administrators who were breaking it. And for that, this school district destroyed her career. That is not how public education is supposed to work. Our children deserve better. Our educators deserve better. And California law requires better. When a school principal blows the whistle on an unsafe condition at school, no emergency plans, no first aid, coaches who don't know CPR, and she is punished for it, we all lose. The message that sends to every teacher, every administrator, every public employee is chilling. Keep quiet or your career is over. We are here today to send a different message. Whistleblowers will be protected, and those who retaliate against them will be held accountable. The evidence in this case is powerful. We have documented reports of violations going back to her first weeks on the job. We have a state audit confirming that attendance records were falsified on this district's watch. We have a superintendent who told an employee not to worry about her job and then fired her 5 days later. We have a district that attempted to solicit negative statements from staff members after the fact to justify what was clearly a pretextual termination. Natasha Bartley is not just a client, she's a symbol about what is right in public education and what goes terribly wrong when leadership puts institutional cover-ups ahead of the children they are supposed to serve. We will pursue this case vigorously, and we will win. I will now turn the floor over to my co-counsel, my law firm's Director of Employment Litigation, Chandler Roth, who will say a few words. She'll be followed by our client, and then I'll repeat these comments in Spanish for our Spanish press.
Thank you, John. My name is Chandler Roth. I'm a senior trial attorney and the Director of Employment Litigation at Gomez Trial Attorneys. And I want to share with you why this case is important to me, not just as a lawyer, but as a mother. I have a young child at home. And like every parent, when I think about sending my child to school one day, I think about one thing above all else. Will the school keep my child safe? Will someone make sure there are safety plans in place? Will someone make sure that coaches are CPR certified? Will someone make sure my child can be accounted for? And will someone care enough to speak up when the answers to those questions is no? Natasha Bartley is that someone. She is the person every person hopes that their child will have at school. John laid out the facts of this case, and they're unsettling. But I want to step back and talk about what those facts mean, because this case is bigger than one school district. It's a fundamental question about what happens in this country when people in charge of our children stop putting children first. What we allege happened at Dehesa School District is not unique. It's a pattern. It plays out in institutions across the state and across the country, where people at the top accumulate power, they cut corners, they stop following the rules. And when someone on the inside has the courage to say, this is wrong and it needs to stop, the institution doesn't fix the problem. They get rid of the person who found it. This is what we allege happened to Natasha Bartley. She walked into a school where children were not safe, where the law was not being followed, and where public money meant to educate kids was tied to records that the state audit confirmed were fabricated. She reported it, she documented it, she cooperated with investigators, and she was terminated. Not because she failed at her job, because she did her job. Think about what that tells every educator, every administrator, and every person in a position of public trust. It tells them that doing the right thing will cost them everything. It tells them that people who stay silent get to keep their careers, and people who speak out are escorted out of the building. This is a dangerous message, and one we refuse to let stand. As a trial lawyer, my career is dedicated to holding powerful institutions accountable when they harm people they're supposed to protect. And as the lead employment litigator at this firm, I see this pattern constantly. Employees pushed aside for doing the right thing, retaliated against for following the law, or discarded when they refused to look the other way. But as a mom, this case hits different. Because it isn't just about an employee who was wrongfully terminated. This is about children, real kids. Kids who deserved a principal who would fight for them, and kids who had that principal and lost her because the adults above her cared more about protecting their power than protecting the kids. Every parent sending their child to school is making an act of trust. You're handing the most important person in your life to an institution and saying, take care of them. When that trust is broken, when safety is neglected, when records are falsified, and when the person fighting for your child is silenced, that's not just a legal violation, that's a betrayal. We're here to say that betrayal has consequences. We will fight this case for Natasha Bartley, who deserves justice. But we will also fight it for every educator who has ever been afraid to speak up. And we'll fight it for the children and the families of Dehesa and everywhere who deserve to know that people running their schools always, always put kids first. So it's now my pleasure to introduce our client, Natasha Bartley, who's going to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Tasha Bartley, and last school year, I had the honor of serving as principal of Dehesa School District and Dehesa Method Sports Academy. Leading that campus was one of the greatest privileges of my professional life. Dehesa is more than just a school. It's a small but extraordinary, close-knit community of dedicated educators, supportive families, and most importantly, remarkable students. It is also my home. I've lived in this community for 15 years, and roots run really deep here. I had the privilege of greeting students each morning, watching them grow in confidence, celebrating their academic milestones, cheering them on at their events, and supporting them through life's unexpected challenges. The resilience, kindness, and curiosity of these young students inspired me every day. Our families, many of them here today, are deeply invested in their children's education. They volunteer, they advocate, and they consistently show up for their kids. Our teachers and staff work tirelessly, often going far beyond their job descriptions because they believe in every child that walks onto this campus. Together, we built a culture grounded in safety, trust, accountability, and opportunity. Every decision I made as a principal was guided by one simple question: what is best for our kids? It was that commitment that led me to speak up when I became aware of concerns that I believed could affect our students and the integrity of our school. I believed, as a principal, I had a responsibility, not just professionally, but morally, to ensure that our campus remained a safe, transparent, and accountable place for learning. I raised those concerns through the appropriate channels because I believe our community deserves honesty and our students deserve protection. As a result, I was terminated. This has been deeply painful, not because of a position, but because of a disruption to a community that I love so much. My heart is with the students who may feel confused, the dedicated staff that's continuing their work under very challenging circumstances, and the families who simply want stability and the very best education for their children. This moment's bigger than any one individual. Schools must be places where integrity is protected and where advocating for students is never met with retaliation. If we expect our children to act with courage and character, then we as adults must be willing to model those same values. I remain incredibly proud of the Dehesa community and all that we've accomplished together. I'm deeply grateful for the relationships I built with students, families, and staff. Relationships rooted in trust, shared purpose, and a genuine love for our school. Those connections will always mean a great deal to me. Most importantly, my commitment to the students of Dehesa has not changed. It never will. They deserve leadership that consistently puts their needs first, protects their well-being, and champions their success. My dedication to education and to this community remains strong, and I will always carry Dehesa with me in both my heart and my work. Thank you.
Buenos días, mi nombre es John Gómez. Soy el fundador y socio director de Gómez Trial Attorneys y he dedicado mi carrera a luchar por personas que han sido agraviadas por instituciones poderosas, corporaciones, agencias gubernamentales y quien abusan de la confianza depositada en ellos. Hoy me da mucho orgullo estar al lado de Natasha Bradley, una educadora dedicada, una directora valiente, una mujer que hizo exactamente lo que les decimos a nuestros hijos que hagan. Dijo la verdad. También nos acompañan las abogadas Chandler Roth y Talia Phillips de mi despacho, así como personas que apoyan a la señora Bartley, tanto de Dehesa como de todo el condado. Hoy anunciamos la presentación de una demanda ante el Tribunal Superior del Condado de San Diego contra el Distrito Escolar de Dehesa por represalias contra denunciante en violación de sección 1082.5 del Código Laboral de San Diego. Los hechos de este caso son profundamente perturbadores, no solo como asunto legal, pero como cuestión humana. Cuando la señora Bartley se convirtió en directora de la escuela de Dehesa en agosto de 2024, entró a un interno plagado de violaciones a la ley de California, sin planes de seguridad, sin entrenadores certificados en RCP, en los campos atléticos, estudiantes sin ser localizados en los autobuses escolares, medicamentos administrados a niños sin documentación, una escuela sin instrucción de desarrollo del idioma inglés. y registro de asistencia que una auditoría estatal confirmó después que fueron fabricados, con el costo potencial para los contribuyentes de casi $1,000,000. Ella no miró hacia otro lado, no protegió su trabajo guardándose el silencio, reportó cada una de esas violaciones a sus superiores, a la Oficina de Educación del Condado de San Diego y en última instancia a un investigador externo. ¿Y qué le pasó a ella? Fue humillada, socavada, aislada, le quitaron su autoridad, a su personal se le ordenó ignorarla y el 9 de junio de 2025, solo 5 días después de que le dijeran textualmente, sigue planeando, contamos con que estarás aquí, fue puesta en licencia administrativa. Al día siguiente, la junta directiva votó para despedirla. Llevaremos este caso con toda total determinación y vamos a ganar. That's all I have. So if there's questions, we'll take them now, English or Spanish. All right. Thank you, everyone. That concludes the press conference. Have a safe and healthy Friday and weekend.
Thank you.
Good job, Natsusa. Sure. With
Quite warm.
Shane, is she doing one-on-ones or no?